r/no sleep. Posted by u/verified_hunter. I think my mirror image was replaced. I can't look at my mirror image in the same way since it happened. After coming home from work, I took off my hat and put it on a hanger. I heard a sound coming from my kitchen. It was the sound of a biscuit being cracked. After I heard it, I felt strange for a period of time. Robbers wouldn't come into the apartment to eat chips. That was certain, but I knew I'd heard something, and that I lived alone. I still found the whole thing very strange, so I thought maybe I'd made the sound up, or mistaken it for something else. I'd done it before when I was sleep deprived. Hallucinations and all that, but that was after not sleeping for a whole day. I didn't call out or say anything. I felt that would be too crazy. Instead I walked over slowly towards the kitchen, intent on figuring out what was there. I saw myself. Yeah. I saw myself standing there with my headphones and my chips, dancing around in the room. Hands jerked up and downwards as elbows moved like waves. Me, slowly moved around until my eyes met my eyes. Well, it wasn't really my eyes. That was the one part of me that wasn't really like me. The eyes I saw were pitch black, completely soulless. As I saw myself, I froze and slowly took off the headphones. Then I bolted out of the room, catching myself completely off guard. My kitchen was connected both to the living room but also to an hallway. As I was standing in the hallway, the other me, the one I saw, ran towards the living room. The whole experience was shocking, but it didn't put me into a state of shock. Rather, adrenaline ran through my system at the sight of an intruder, and I quickly turned the corner to spot myself. I saw the back of my head sinking into my mirror and disappear. I walked over to it, and stared into the mirror, touching it to confirm that I couldn't go through. I saw my mirror image on the other side, repeating everything I did. Have I lost my sanity? Nobody who has lost their sanity would think that. But nobody that has their sanity intact would think that. No, what am I thinking? Even when I've hallucinated in the past it's been nothing like this. I definitely saw that. What exactly was it I saw though? I know you're in there, I said to my mirror image, skeptically. It eyed me with the very same look I gave it, which pissed me off. I hadn't done anything wrong. And then I realized something. My mirror image was still wearing my headphones, despite me not having any. Slowly, I raised my hands and slowly moved them to my ears. I touched my ears, but the mirror image's hands stopped on the headphones. My face turned white and eyes wide. It snatched the headphones and threw it towards me, sending it rocketing into my face. Ouch! It fell down onto the ground, and strangely, I could see it in the mirror now. Something had changed though. My mirror image was no longer trying to mimic me. My eyes would jump from myself upwards at something else, and then back at me. My mirror image's face only grew wider and wider. At sudden moments my mirror image jumped slightly. I think somebody was screaming at me. A large coal black figure walked into the scene. It glanced through the mirror and sneered. By muscle memory, I looked at the spot in the real world it was inhabiting but there was nothing there. The figure had a large camera hanging of its neck, and I wondered what it was used for. Its large, thick hands grabbed my collar and dragged me of the scene. I saw myself fight and plead, but the large figure wasn't having any of it. Then I couldn't see anything in my mirror. I was just staring at the background of my room, I having no space in it. All of a sudden, I saw myself walk back into the shot. Stand where I stood. Take a deep breath, and copy the expression of horror on my face. And then my mirror image acted like nothing had ever happened. Next story of this video. Posted by u/verified_hunter. There's a store which I've never seen open. Last night at 3 a.m. it was open and I walked in there. They asked me to play a game. I was walking home in the middle of the night, and for some reason I feared for my life. I felt that at any moment a large creature would jump at me, or a serial killer would slither out of the alleys. I saw a store, one that was usually closed, and the white lights drew me in. It wasn't a food store, or any type of regular store. The door led into an empty room with a counter. The lights flickered and I felt the wind brush up against my back. I felt vulnerable and I took a step deeper into the store. "Hello?" I called out, but to no response. I looked back through the door. I saw the empty concrete path, and the dark alleyways. My heart sped up. Something was definitely wrong, I just couldn't put my finger on it. I closed the door. Relief washed over me. I don't know what threat that I'd been under, or if it was simply paranoia, but I felt so much better with the door closed. It was as if a man had been pointing a gun at me and now they'd taken it down. "Hello? Is anybody here?" I called out again, but I received no response. I saw that there was a camera pointed right at me in the corner. It was blinking red. I waved at it, and the camera stopped blinking red. I heard steps growing louder. A shadow appeared on the wall, it was large, and then I saw a little happy dwarf walk into the room. She wore a green suit. She climbed up onto the chair, and looked right at me. "Hello and welcome to the game room. Do you want to play?" she said. I don't know how to put this. It was a very mechanical and rehearsed saying and she'd pumped energy into it, but it sounded dead. As if she'd been ruined. "Can I just stay here for a bye? I'm afraid you'll have to exit if you don't want to play." I looked back at the door, my gut really didn't want me to leave the room. "How much will it cost?" "It's free." Red flags immediately popped up, but at the very same time she said that somebody knocked against the door. They didn't try to open it. They didn't even try to turn the handle. Only a slow monotonous knocking. A drop of sweat glid down from my forehead to my cheek. My heart pounded so loudly it was defeating. I didn't have any proof of it, but I knew that if I walked through that door I'd die. It was obvious to me. "Sure, I'll play. What am I playing?" The knocking stopped. "Follow me," she said and jumped off the stoolie. She walked into the hallway and I walked behind her. We walked past many doors. There were silver numbers on the doors that grew. We stopped at the 27th door. She fumbled a ring of keys out of her pocket. All the keys looked the same but she knew which one was right for the door. She opened it up, and gestured for me to walk in there. She closed the door and I was locked into a pitch-black room. Minutes passed. What the hell had I done? I'd known for a certain fact that death laid outside of the door, but I hadn't considered that death could lay here too. A spotlight shone onto the middle of the room, then I heard the girl through the speakers. She said, "Sit down where the light shines and close your eyes. The only rule to play the game is not to open your eyes. Close your eyes immediately." I remember thinking that this was a silly game, but I did as they asked. I sat down where the light shone, and I closed my eyes. A few seconds after I did so, I heard the sound of lights being turned on. A door creaked open. It wasn't the door I'd entered through. I heard feet tapping into my room. It wasn't the sound of a human walking but rather something that moved on four legs. It was too slow to be a dog, and I'd be lying if the sound of those taps approaching me didn't scare me. They got closer and closer and then they stopped, and it was silent. It shrieked in my right ear. It stung and I felt myself lose balance for a moment. My instinct was to open my eyes and look at whatever it was that had screamed into my ears, but I stopped myself. I heard the feet padding around me again, then silence. I braced myself for another shriek. "You can open your eyes now," I heard. It was the girl's voice, but it was not coming from the speakers. How did she enter the room? The only thing that stopped me from opening my eyes was that feeling that there was something an inch away from my face, staring into my eyes. I didn't open my eyes. "Just answer this silly question," I asked. "What was the first thing you said to me?" "Open your eyes and I'll tell you." It was not her. I remember thinking that the instant I heard those words. I stayed silent and kept my eyes shut. I didn't know what the point of this was anymore, but I knew that I had to play this game until the end. "Don't ignore me," it said. I said, "Don't fucking ignore me." I heard an alarm coming from the walls. I felt the hesitation in the creature, but it slowly tapped itself back the way it had come from. The door shut, but I kept my eyes shut until I heard through the speaker that the game was over. "Sure, what was the first thing you said to me?" I asked. "You're a smart fellow," I heard. The rest of the hour was completely silent. The creature didn't even try to talk to me. Occasionally I'd feel hands whiffing past my eyelids, but other than that nothing. I heard a yawn, and I heard another alarm. The very same thing from before repeated itself. "You can open your eyes," the girl said. "What W?" "Hello and welcome to the game room." There wasn't even emotion there anymore. I opened my eyes and found her standing in the doorway. She told me to follow her and I was happy too. She walked me back to the first room, and opened the door. She took a step out, and looked to her left. I did the same and I screamed. It was perhaps 4 meters tall. A ghost white creature with a bent back and an expression filled with rage. It had 2 holes instead of a nose, and its body was practically bones. "Don't worry," she said, "it won't eat you, it lost at the game." Was that the creature? No no no. This is a different game. If you hadn't entered the game room then you'd have lost. But I never agreed to play this game. You did. When? When entered without my permission. "Have a good night," she said and closed the door. The large creature begrudgingly turned around and walked into the alleyway. I walked home, but I couldn't feel that something was off. I couldn't put my finger on it.